All right, we're live, folks. Welcome into the slate. Short and sweet intro. A little Friday here, January the 6th, apparently. It's 2023. Wake up. Change your texts. Stop writing 2022. And a little Friday slate action. We're going to break down the sports cycle here as we always do. We're mainly going to focus on NFL because that's what most of the peeps care about. I mean, I care about golf. I haven't even had a chance to look at the golf leaderboard. Anyways, my name is Jeff Lawler. You can follow me on Twitter at the Fantasy Grind. Joined by Matt LaMarca. What's your Twitter handle, Matt? Is it M LaMarca?
Matt LaMarca.
Matt LaMarca. Close. At Matt LaMarca. Give him a follow. He writes for everybody. He writes for DK Nation. He's doing the stuff on the DK Live app. And most importantly, he's winning you money because he's got an insanely good record with the pools, with all the articles he does. So do that right off the top, people. But Matty, how's your week going? How's your holidays? How's everything?
You know, it's been nice. I feel like I've had a little bit more time this week. We were talking about it before the start of the show. You know, no Thursday night football. No Monday night football upcoming. So it feels more condensed this week, which I can get behind as a content creator.
And I mean, like, you know, this week has felt long since Monday because of obviously, you know, right. As people and we're all follow sports here. Obviously, you're tuning in, you're into the betting side as well, and you're just big into sports probably. And I mean, like the Damar Hamlin thing is, you know, it's just a big thing. It kind of emotionally weighs on everyone involved, and it's you know, it's everyone's cheering for this guy, and it's you know, it's taking up a little bit of energy, which is fine. We should all be putting our energy into trying to do whatever we can, but it is something that's happened this week. So it's been a busy week. It's been crazy. There's been lots going on, and they finally figure out the scheduling. Obviously, going to be canceling that game, not resuming it, and so we know the implications going into this week, anyways. And obviously, you know, we'll be keeping an eye on. And good news is Hamlin has come out, you know, as doing some pretty miraculously recovering so far. So obviously, hopefully that improves this week too. But let's slide into it, man. What do you got your eye on for? Well, let's do this. Let's start by Saturday. Let's start with Saturday games. And,
Yep.
and I mean, really, it's just the two of us. We don't have Kaufman here, like eating up
Slowing us down,
minutes, talking about the Celtics or his kids. Let's just go game by game, and let's just say, yeah, if there's a game that I'd say, you know, Jeff, I just don't care about, we'll just move on. But let's try and pick something out for the people here for every game if we can. And let's start with that. Chiefs and Raiders. We got the big Patrick Mahomes narrative here for the Chiefs. I mean, that's the big thing. He can set the passing record for 430, so we can touch on that. And then also, is this a game you're looking to play for the spread, total, or anything like that?
Yeah, I kind of like, I do kind of like the over on Mahomes's passing prop. I think that's around 325 yards.
Yep.
And given his track record against the Raiders, which is just insanely good, it would not shock me if he got to 430 in this spot. He didn't get to 300 in their first matchup, but he had 4 touchdowns. The Raiders have the worst pass defense in the league by DVOA. So it's a spot where he could really go after it if he wants to. I'm not sure how much he does, but this game clearly matters to the Chiefs. They can get the number 1 seed with a win. And there's still some implications where getting the number 1 seed might not get them a home game in the AFC Championship. Depending on what happens, it might be a neutral field game, but certainly getting the bye in round 1 is worth playing for. So I expect the Chiefs to give this one everything that they have, but I kind of like the Raiders to cover the 9. Jarrett Stidham, I thought, was really impressive in this, you know, this, why am I blanking on his name? The Raiders coach.
Oh, yeah, Josh McDaniels.
Thank you. The McDaniels offense, he looks like he is a better fit for it than Derek Carr. You know, his game last week against the 49ers, who are probably the best defensive team in football, super impressive. So I think the Raiders can keep this close. So I don't hate the Raiders +9, maybe a little same game parlay with the Mahomes passing stuff. So I think this is going to be a fun one.
I think that's a really interesting way to do it, because obviously if the Raiders are keeping this close, that just gives Patrick Mahomes more why did I click on that? More time to do it. Let's do this quickly here and let's see what we can get. We take the Raiders +9. We take passing props, Mahomes over 370. What the heck does that give us? That gives us 4 plus 475 right off the hop. So not too shabby, really. I think you're correct in saying, if Mahomes is passing a lot, the Raiders are probably keeping this close. So interesting. All right. So interesting stuff right off the hop there. I think I'm kind of with you. I'm definitely with you on, I'm kind of with you on both sides. I don't really know if I want to take the Chiefs to cover here. Their offenses, or excuse me, their defense is what I meant to say. Really just not that strong lately. I could certainly see, Stidham coming out and really just, putting up a similar type of performance to last week. So it was pretty impressive what he did, to be honest, too. Like, I mean, against San Francisco,
super impressive.
It was weirdly impressive. That was like probably the most shocking performance of the week, if not like the year for me. So, okay, I think we're kind of in line there, expecting Mahomes to probably come out quick, put on some yards, but maybe the Raiders keeping it close. Let's move on to the second game. I think we're going to both be in line here as well. You have the Titans 6.5 now. I've even seen this line move up to 7 at some points. Yeah, we're already getting to the juice there. So Jags minus 105 if you wanted them to cover 6.5. We got a 40-point total. What's your thoughts here? Any props that stick out, or you just going to play the line, or is this kind of a stay away?
I do like the Titans. I like them. I liked them a lot more when they were 7, which you could grab earlier in the week. And I'm not sure we'll see it again, because I think the sharps are in agreement that the Titans are a value plus a full touchdown. But it's just a spot where I do think like experience is going to matter. Right. This Titans team is very battle tested. They've been into the playoffs. They've been on playoff runs. While this Jaguars team, I would say, is kind of ahead of schedule, right? Trevor Lawrence broke out over the second half of the year. I think next year is the year where they will really take a step forward. That said, like, Jacksonville is probably the better team right now. The way they've been playing, it's also a great matchup for them. The Titans can't stop the pass, and the Jags have had a really strong passing attack in recent weeks. So I like the Jaguars to win this game, but I do not know if they win by enough to cover. So if I can get the full 7, I like that. If it's under 7, it's probably a stay away from me.
Yeah, I think the only scenario in this game that would really shock me is if somehow Tennessee just came out and like won dominantly. Like, they completely shut down the Jags offense. They were like,
Yes.
24-10. And Derrick Henry, I guess if that does happen, it's probably because Derrick Henry just went insane and broke off some long runs and just demoralized them. But I don't know, man. Like, Doug Peterson has that team going right now. And I am in agreement with you. We could just be a little early on the Jags. I think next year, when they get Calvin Ridley involved as well, this team
forgot about him.
Yeah, I know. I did until last week too. And then I saw a tweet he made, and I'm like, the Jags are adding Calvin Ridley to this offense for free next year. It's pretty crazy. So I think that the most likely scenario is a close Jags win. You're right. I think they're just the better team now. But man, this Tennessee Titans team is super greasy. These are the spots that Mike Vrabel has absolutely dominated in.
Yeah.
When everyone counts Tennessee out, they find a way to somehow put a game plan together and make life tough and squeak games out. So I expect this is going to be a close game. And I've already taken a piece of the Titans. It's not a huge piece, but I think it's definitely, I just can't think about taking the other side. I just don't want to necessarily rely on the Jags to cover that big spread. So
I think prop wise, I also really like the over on Derrick Henry's carries. I think after resting last week, he is going to get absolutely fed in this spot. I've seen it at like 21 or so.
Yep,
yeah, 21 and a half. No problem taking the over on that. I think he gets 25 carries easy in this spot. Like, what else are they going to do? They have Josh Dobbs at quarterback, right? They're going to put this game on Derrick Henry's shoulders, and he's going to have to try and carry them into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Tennessee, a team that obviously runs when they're ahead, they run when they're behind. They're not going to abandon the run. Even if this game even if they get down 3 touchdowns, they're not going to abandon the run. And that's not me just being facetious there. That is not a thing that's going to happen. So you see, obviously, the line kind of moving already down to minus 135. Will not be shocked if that gets to like 23.5 or something like that, or at least 22.5. So jump on that now if you're interested. And I certainly have no, response to that, except, I kind of like that one as well. Nothing else super interesting to me in terms of props. You could take like the Treylon Burks alternate line here. It's a bad Jacksonville secondary. I guess I don't hate that. Burks is certainly capable, but these aren't lines that I'm like jumping out. Treylon Burks, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but it's a pretty big line. The Jacksonville receivers, they kind of eat into each other, which is annoying. It's getting hard to guess between Christian.
I have one question for you quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
How this week we talked about Mahomes already, but there's also the big, like incentive street, right? So you look at a lot of these Jacksonville guys. Evan Ingram needs 61 yards for a 200K bonus. Zay Jones needs 98 yards for 250K. And Christian Kirk needs 91 for 500K. Do you buy into those? Do you think that the numbers become overinflated with people chasing these, incentive bonuses? What's your approach on it?
My approach is that, especially for this game and with the Jags, if you're saying, okay, you got Ingram, Kirk, Zay Jones, I would rather bet under on pretty much all those guys than over. It's like, we're not talking about some just random game at the end of the year, where like the other team has given up and they're starting their third stringer. I mean, the Titans are starting their third stringer, but it's like, it's because that's all they have. This is just like, they're not going to force the ball to any of these guys just to get them to a bonus. Does someone end up getting there? Yeah, certainly. But, all these guys could end up going under. If Travis Etienne is eating up yards at the start of this game, Doug Peterson isn't going to go, hey, let's start the quarter with the third quarter with like 4 passes to Evan Ingram, guys, because we want to get him his bonus. No, I mean, give me a break. He's a player's coach, but he's not an idiot either, right? So, I think you got to be really careful with the bonus stuff. It definitely, the bonuses and the records, make sure that the game environment is supporting that too. The game environment here, I think the matchup supports it, maybe like for like Zay Jones, because it's a really good matchup on the outside of him, and maybe for Ingram too. But like, if all 3 of those guys end up going over, I don't even know if that's a good thing for Jacksonville necessarily. That could mean that they're behind, that Derrick Henry has ripped off like 3 touchdowns. So you got to play to the game that you're expecting here. I'm expecting a closer game. I'm expecting, maybe one of those guys to get over, but I'm certainly not going to play all 3 of them, or I'm not going to play any of them, to be honest. I'm just saying, if you're asking me what's going to happen, maybe one of them goes over. I'm not expecting a ton of huge games from all 3 of them. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think the point that you made that really is the most important here is that Jacksonville is playing to win this game, right? There might be other teams that are more focused on getting players incentives. The Jaguars are focused on winning. So maybe you can chase it in some other spots, but I do not think that this is one of them.
It's a perfect segue, because our next game is the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears, and the Bears are starting Nathan Peterman in an attempt to ensure a loss here, which is actually extremely smart. But the Minnesota Vikings, coming off an absolutely demoralizing loss to the Packers, they're going to have their starters out there. They can do this under the realm of, hey, we're still live for the 2nd seed. Why not? But the real thing that people are going to be looking at here is Justin Jefferson. He needs, I'm going to get to, did they even have do we not have player props up here? Ooh, did they pull the player props? Interesting. Could have some news there. Maybe, I don't know if the Vikings have changed their minds on this, but anyways, let's assume Justin Jefferson's still going. The touchdown props are still really short on these guys, so I don't think there's that. But Justin Jefferson, if we do get a prop on him up, he needs, I believe it's 184 yards to break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record. And he needs 229, I believe it is, around that, to hit 2,000, the first receiver to do it. So this is a spot I could actually see happening, kind of like Mahomes, but even maybe more so than Mahomes, because you got the weakest secondary in the league. you've got a Vikings team that I think is going to be going full bore for at least 2, maybe even 3 quarters. And, they've got a bit of a diva wide receiver who they'd probably like to keep happy. So
it's definitely an interesting spot because he had 12 for 154 the first 2 times these teams played. So if they really did want to feed him, he probably could get there. I'm still like fading that narrative.
Yeah.
I think that first off, I'm just kind of against like a 17 game season breaking a 16 game season record. Like it just doesn't mean that much to me. Like, congratulations, you had an extra game. The 2000 thing would be kind of cool, just being the first person to ever do that. But regardless, like this is the game that I don't have a ton of interest in. I've been fading the Vikings for most of the year, but the Bears with Peterman at quarterback are just going to be an absolute dumpster fire. The only good thing that team has had going for them has been Justin Fields. So if the Vikings want to take care of business in this spot, they probably can. If they want to get their starters out at halftime, I think they can do that too. Like, this game has too many outcomes potentially for me to be all that interested in it.
Yeah. And I mean, again, this line is been weirdly moving. Like it moved on the Peterman news, but now it's back to where it was before the Peterman news. So there must be some rumblings here. I'm starting to think that this may be another spot. Like I know at the start of the week, my feeling was the Vikings are pretty stupid if they're going to, they have a high seed playoff and now in their final game, they're going to make Justin Jefferson catch like 15 passes. That's not what a team does who's really interested in going for a long playoff run. So I think you're probably right here. This is probably one, like if it happens, I won't be shocked, but I also just like, I'm not going to chase it. I don't think, unless we get some really like concrete news that really moves us more in that direction. Like, someone's inside said, yeah, they're going to go for it or something. So it's maybe one to watch because I think there's a realistic chance, but this one's been interesting. Now just reading where the line's going, I think it's kind of telling us maybe this might not happen. So anyways, interesting to see there. Next one, Patriots, Bills. I got in on the Bills at 6.5. I mean, I just, it's just, we're just playing a team who they've been through the gamut. I think they're going to really enjoy being on the field, playing, be able to finally show some emotion out there for their brother and just all that narrative stuff. But, to take it a step further, I also think the Patriots are just not very good. Like,
yeah,
I think some of their defensive stats have been inflated from playing third string quarterbacks. Their offense is, I think, actually worse than a lot of the stats even bear out. And I think that the Bills are absolutely as good as everything that is advertised. I think they're going to blow them out of the water here. So that's my take. I don't know if you had any different feelings, but this one.
No, it's going to be, I think, a very positive environment in Buffalo. The fans are going to be so happy, so supportive for their team, and they're going to want to show up and play well and show out for DeMar, I think. So I feel a lot of the same things that you do on this game. And I'm also in complete agreement about the Patriots being just not very good. So this game also does kind of matter to Buffalo if that whole situation comes into play where, the game versus the Bengals is obviously not happening anymore. But if the Bills finish just a half game behind the Chiefs in the standings, and those two teams happen to meet in the AFC Championship game, it would then be played on a neutral field, I think is the proposal. I don't know if that's official yet, but it seems like that's where we're trending towards. And the difference between having to go and play in Kansas City and playing on a neutral field, huge difference. So I think it's a spot for the Bills to just put the gas pedal down.
Yeah, it's a really interesting spot. That is the proposal. I think you're right. It hasn't been ratified yet, but I'd kind of be shocked if it wasn't. I think it's pretty much the fairest thing. Actually, credit to the NFL here. I think they've actually come up with probably one of the fairest solutions to having that game canceled. And I expect that will get ratified, but it's a great point. Like the Bills have incentive to win this game now too. So it's kind of like a double whammy here to the Patriots in a lot of ways. Yeah. So, obviously there's a lot of emotions involved. It's just an unprecedented situation. But I'm definitely rolling with a bet on the Bills, like I said. And I think it's interesting too. I'm really interested to see where that neutral site game would be. The Bills to me are still more of an indoor team. And I know the Chiefs kind of are too, but I think even more so the Bills are. Like with no Tyreek Hill there, I actually think that shifts the advantage to an indoor game back to the Bills. So that would be interesting to see. But that's for in the future. But keep that in mind. Let me go to the other team, obviously, with that event on Monday. The Bengals at home here versus the Ravens. 9 points. Lamar's not back for this game. I didn't miss something, did I? Is he back? No,
Lamar is out. Huntley is questionable,
right?
But it sounds as though he is going to be in the lineup.
Yeah. Okay. So, which actually probably isn't even a good thing for Baltimore at this point. So, my good friend Pierce Dietrich had one of the more insane takes of the year. Some of his insane takes are really good, actually. He did tell me Geno Smith was going to be good, but he also told me at some point this year that Tyler Huntley may be better for the Ravens than Lamar Jackson, which, of course, is pure nonsense. But yeah, I'm not as inclined to take the Bengals here at -9.5, but I almost feel like I should be. The Bengals have at least not had to travel at all. They've probably had a little bit better preparation. And look, the whole talk this week has been, well, what if the Ravens beat the Bengals twice? Then they should get credit. The Bengals are saying, are you serious? You think the Ravens are going to beat us? We just won 10 in a row, buddy. We were in front in that game. I think there's going to be a little bit of confidence. I think there's going to be a little bit of just, chip on the shoulder here for the Bengals personally. That's kind of my take here. I think this one could be over very quick as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just fading the Ravens at this point. Their offense without Lamar last 5 games, 13 points, 17 points, 3 points, 16 points, 10 points. And there have been some advantageous matchups in there too, like Cleveland and Atlanta. Yep. So they're just not getting the job done. I mean, the offense wasn't exactly rolling even when they had Jackson healthy.
Yep.
So Cincinnati can go out and they can, sort of take the asterisk away from their division title by winning this game. And I expect them to do that.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it. And I think in a lot of ways, the NFL has actually given them motivation to do that. So,
right. Well, it's another game that could potentially be worth something, because another one of those proposals is if the Ravens win this game and these two teams happen to meet in the playoffs, a coin flip would decide which team has home field advantage.
Right. And that was the big thing, I think, that Cincinnati fans and just Cincinnati in general were kind of keying on. It's like, really? Okay. Like, you're going to make us do the coin flip, even though we're clear we had the better winnings percentage. Anyways, I think what the NFL has done is given the Bengals a reason to really care about this game, which is really bad news for the Ravens. So yeah, I'm just looking through some of the props here. We got a bad Ravens secondary to take advantage of here too. Would not shock me if, both Chase and Higgins ended up having pretty big days, but nothing that sticks out to me majorly. Hayden Hurst.
The one prop in this game that caught my attention was Gus Edwards under on his rushing yardage prop. Gus Edwards was basically a non-factor last week. He had a 17% carry share. J.K. Dobbins has looked basically fantastic over the past few weeks. I think the split between those two guys is only getting wider. And, if for some reason the Ravens pull the plug on this one early, which is a possibility with the number being where it is, like, I don't think that they're going to put carries on either of these guys. So under 36.5 for me, I think is a strong play.
I like that one quite a bit. Actually, that's a good call. Under's never a bad idea, especially on running backs. And I'm a little surprised that number is up there. So good one there. Good rush defense too for the Bengals too. I mean, This is not exactly, we're not talking about like the Giants or Chargers or something. This is a pretty legit defense in terms of like DVOA and stuff. So, okay, this is, you're going to take the Steelers here, obviously. The Steelers, Browns. You've been riding the Steelers.
I liked
right?
I liked the Browns at 3. I did like the Browns at 3.
Yep.
There's a good trend in the last couple of weeks of the year. If you have a team that's eliminated from playoff contention, facing a team that needs to win to get a playoff spot, 96, 59, and 4 against the spread dating back to 1990. And it's just sort of fits the narrative of like the public overvalues teams that need to win. Like all these teams try to win basically every week. There's exceptions, of course, from time to time, but for the most part, these teams are all trying to win. There's not like this extra gear that they can turn it up to. Yeah. So I did like the Browns at +3. I'm a little bit less interested at 2.5 just because you got to watch out for my man Ice Pickett. That's right. Ice water in the veins. Lead him down the field again, Kenny.
I agree. Like there's actually, this is good. Like, because just in the interest of time, I'm going to skip ahead to the game that I like for the exact reason. But I'm a little bit skeptical of the Browns. I think you're right on. If you get the Browns, you need to get 3 because I do think Kenny Pickett deserves a little bit of respect. But I absolutely love the Rams this week, man. The Rams are the bet of the week for me. You just laid out the perfect stat. The Seattle Seahawks in a position where they have to win. Sean McVay, until this year, where he had to start John Wolford in week 13, 5-0 straight up against Pete Carroll. Before that, you've got Cam Akers now going up against the Seattle defense and lost Jordan Brooks last week, their top linebacker, who called plays for them on defense. Like, this is a rough spot for Seattle, man. I cannot believe that we are getting 6 points. This was up to 7 at one point at a couple books, but even at 6, like this is fine. This line should be like 3.5. It's Seattle. They have one of the worst defenses in the league, man. Like, oh boy. So yeah, this is my favorite spot of the week by far for a lot of the reasons why you just laid out. You think Cleveland at 3 is interesting.
Yep. I'm with you there. And I'm with you, same logic, Jets +3. I think both teams, it's very similar narrative. This line was actually like the Jets were slight favorites until it got announced that Joe Flacco was going to start, and now it's back to being +3. But
no respect for Joe Flex. Come on,
I'll take Joe Flacco against Skyler.
Absolutely,
I'm fine with that. The Jets won their first game against the Dolphins, 40-17. Now, granted, that game was a little bit closer than the final scoreline indicated. But that was the only other game where Skylar Thompson played like the majority of the snaps at the position. And the Jets are one of the most equipped teams at stopping a guy like Tyreek Hill. And I think that it's a spot that the Jets should kind of relish, right? They get to play spoiler. They have no pressure on them while the Dolphins need to win. Give me the Jets +3.
Yeah. So all these divisional games, and they all are divisional games, I think really set up well for the underdogs as well. I think the one team I'd be the least interested in is the Browns, but that's really a numbers thing. I mean, it's a numbers thing and it's a Pickett thing, but definitely with you on the Jets there as well. There's no chance I'm betting the Dolphins. Hey, yeah, Joe Flacco. I mean, like he's fine. He's not bad.
Joe Cool, man. I love the report that they were like, yeah, we can't turn to Flacco because after he lost the job, like once Zach Wilson came back from being injured, he kind of just completely checked out on the year. And now all of a sudden he's starting in week 18. So, but you know what? It would be so Joe Flacco to just show up and just dominate in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the dude's been around. He'll be fine. Any takes on this Bucks Atlanta game? This is one of those games where I don't know if the Bucks have finally just given up and been like, yeah, the starters aren't going to play. But like if Brady's out there, he's going to be out there for like a series. Got Atlanta -4. Not really a team I want to trust, but this is extenuating circumstances. Once Brady's out, if he's even going to play at all, I think you're just going to see Blaine Gabbert handing the ball off to like Keyshawn Vaughn. So little bit of interest in me in the Falcons, I guess, but not a ton. This is a game that I just will pretend isn't on the slate, probably, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if I was going to bet this game, I would take Bucks money line first half.
Okay.
You can get that at +130. Yep. And if that covers you, if Brady only plays the first half, then you're fine. with whatever happens after that. But again, it's a tough game to handicap. We don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I one thing I did take, well, actually, I did take the under here just because I think there's going to be a lot of running in this game. I don't really love it, to be honest, but these two teams are also like, I think they're like a combined 11 and 22 towards like hitting overs this year. So again, this just feels like a game where Tampa's just there to have it, to finish it. So, maybe the Falcons put up 24 points, but like the Bucks put up 7 points too. So I kind of like the under there as well. That one just stood out to me. Just a small play. We got a couple other stinkers here. Go through them quickly. Actually, since we're running out of time, is there any game that you want to talk about that we haven't gone to yet?
Let's see. I like the big game, of course, this week is the Sunday nighter. You've got the Lions plus 4.5 against the Packers. Now up to plus 5. Here's what I'm ideally hoping for. The Seahawks beat the Rams. I know that goes against the fact that we both like the Rams to cover the spread, but if that happens, I think there's going to be a major overreaction to the fact that the Lions have now been eliminated from playoff contention. And if that happens, I could see this number getting up to 7 or so.
Yes.
And I don't think it will have any impact on the way that Detroit approaches the game, right? Dan Campbell is not the type of dude to just roll over and die. That's not in his DNA. And that team has adopted his mentality. Plus, it's not like they're going to know if they've been eliminated from the playoffs until about like 45 minutes before that game actually kicks off. Like they're preparing to play this week. And I do think that, once if it happens and the Packers become the team that, like, oh, if they win, they're in, but the Lions can't get in anymore. So now they're not going to try. If the public starts pounding Green Bay in that scenario, I am going to be all over Detroit as an underdog.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, Detroit's playing to win this game. They also have a chance just to knock out Green Bay. I mean, like, of course they're going to take it. It's like you said, they don't really have a choice here. Like, they have to prepare. Like they're playing. All their starters are going to be preparing. So I don't think they're going to have a second option. It's like these guys.
Maybe you don't lean on DeAndre Swift as much, but he's kind of been like a non-factor for them all year.
Yeah. I mean, he's not like he was taking a huge workload anyways. So I'm in agreement. I think you will see line movement there too. Yeah. 7 I'm probably, I do think the Packers are going to win this game, but I'm still, I don't think I can take them at 5. Like, I just don't think I can do that. I'll probably take the over in this game. Is like the one play that I'm probably gonna have a little bit on. But other than that, this one I may just sit back and enjoy, unless that scenario does happen. If we get to 7, I may even take the Lions at 6, to be honest. But I kind of
like them at 5. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like at 5, it's kind of just, I'm just gonna stay away. But like if it gets to 6, I think I'd have interest in the Lions. So
right, that's basically what I'm just saying is like if you like Detroit, which I do like Detroit, I don't think there's any harm in waiting. So wait it out. See what happens. And one bonus pick in that game, AJ Dillon over rushing yards. I think it's like 40, it's 44, really 45, something like that.
Yeah.
And Detroit stinks against the run. AJ Dillon, 13 carries per game over their last 4. I think he should be able to clear this number pretty easily.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I mean, look, we went over most of the games we missed. I mean, I don't even know if I have anything to say about those. Actually, can get back to the main screen. Like I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans upset the Colts. Panthers, Saints, I legitimately could not care less about. Couldn't care less about. So anyways, Arizona, San Francisco. Yeah. I mean,
I think we hit all the plays I like. We hit on all the important matchups. The one big thing I guess we didn't talk about, Jalen Hurts, it seems like is going to be back for the Eagles. They need to win to secure the number 1 seed. The Giants are solidified into the number 6 seed. So I think if you wanted to take a look at a big favorite, I would lean towards the Eagles.
Yeah. And I think the Giants did come out and finally say they're going to be resting players today. So took them till Friday, but they got there. Yeah, so I'm in agreement. Like, I don't hate the Eagles as a big favorite there at all. I think Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles are going to put that one to bed pretty quickly. I think if any of the big favorites get upset, or not necessarily upset, but have a close game, it's going to be the Chiefs this week. So okay. Anyways, that's it. So we have Madden coming up, guys. Really appreciate you guys hanging with us on the slate. You can follow him at Matt LaMarca. You can check him out at dknation.draftkings.com and give me a follow at the Fantasy Grind.
Golf season, baby. Get Jeff's golf picks.
That's right. Get them while they're still hot and haven't lost you too much. Anyways, appreciate you guys hanging out. We got Madden coming up. The Commanders. I wonder who the Commanders are starting at Madden land right now. If it's still Heineke, or if they got Sam Howell in there versus the Dolphins. You probably, if you want to see Tua play, you're going to have to check out the Madden Sims. They're coming up, guys, starting 6 Eastern. We will see you tomorrow. We also have the Sweat coming up every morning. That starts 11 a.m. Eastern. Next one's on Monday. We'll have a Sunday version up there as well for the slate. So anyways, guys, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.